Hi, let's talk about environments and why you need one. The easiest way for me to explain why I think you do need one is for me to tell you what happened to the students in the first year we ran this course. At the very beginning, all they had to do was make sure they had Python on their machine. Most of them had already done an introductory course. That was easy. Then they had to load some packages, Python, pandas, what else? Scikit-learn. That was fairly easy. A little bit later on in the course, they had to load H2O. That was more difficult. H2O requires a certain version of Java. Some of the students only had machines with old versions of Windows on it. They couldn't install it at all. Other students still had problems, or it just took half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to install. And after that point in the course, it got worse and worse. We had to install Cat Boost. That was really difficult. LightGBM, from memory, that doesn't install at all on some kinds of machines. It was just impossible. What the students really needed was a space on their machine where everything was already installed for them. A space on your machine where everything is already installed is called an environment, but creating that environment yourself is difficult, really difficult. I'm going to read to you part of a post by a chap called Jamie Hall. He wrote a post called Why Use Containers? We'll talk more about containers in a second. But here's what he wrote. In the Python world, a typical workflow would be something like this. Notice that you need library X. So call pip install X. Pip is a package manager. It's a way of installing Python packages. Pip install X also installs dependencies A, B, and C, but B already exists on your machine via easy install, so pip cancels itself but only partially removes the new stuff. Then import B refuses to ever work again, or you discover that it relies on a later build of NumPy, which you install only to discover that libraries Y and Z are linked to an older NumPy library that just got stomped on, and so on, and so on. I'm smiling here because this is incredibly true. It used to happen to me and I thought I must have been doing something wrong. He carries on to say in his post that eventually things go so badly wrong you simply have to reinstall Python from scratch and possibly a whole lot more on your machine. And I can tell you that is exactly what happened to me. So what you really want to do is take an environment which somebody else has created and get it working on your machine somehow. And the great news is that's really easy with something called containers. And we are going to now be looking at a software called Docker, which allows you to get a container created by somebody else and start it running on your machine. Docker itself doesn't so easily install on older versions of Windows. So what we are going to do is we're going to set up a virtual machine in the Google Cloud, which has everything on it that you need. That's going to take a few videos, but by the time you go through those, you should have everything you need. We are also going to look at an alternative, which some students liked last year. It's called Colaboratory by Google. It doesn't quite have everything we need for the whole course, but it is simpler than getting up and running on the Google Cloud. I encourage you to try the Google Cloud at least and see how far you get. You get about $300 of free credits, you can try different Google APIs, and in general it's good experience. Alternatively, don't bother with environments, just try it yourself on your own machine, on your own version of Python, but when it all goes wrong, just remember, I told you so. Bye now, see you next time.